Welcome to Money, Money, Money. I'm Surabhi Upadhyay. The coronavirus outbreak has spread to over 70 countries around the world, and the list now includes India, with cases having been reported in Delhi, in Telangana and other states. The risk has indeed hit home. We need to be prepared for it in every way possible. That's why today on the show we are going to focus on insurance covers that you must have to deal with any eventuality, be it health or travel, that could arise out of this epidemic. Joining me for the conversation today are Anup Rau, CEO and MD of Future Generali India Insurance, and Sanjeev Bajaj, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Bajaj Capital. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining in. We do live in very, very difficult times, and I think as the headlines grow and central banks are now taking action, whatnot, the individual is really wondering what to do to protect himself or herself, right? Now, Anup, Sanjeev, I'm going to start with some opening thoughts here. I mean, we're talking about obviously the health preventive, steps that one needs to take, but from the financial prevention point of view, this is the time everyone's going to go back and look at their insurance covers and wonder, okay, do I have everything in place? Your first thoughts, are there more inquiries coming in, and how do you react to a situation like this, Anup?
So I think we've been pretty insulated from the virus until about a week back. So frankly, I think some sense of dread is now creeping in. But as long as you have a regular Medicaid policy, you have nothing to worry about. Okay. And I think the moot point here is that you will have pandemics, you will have epidemics. I mean, like we were discussing earlier, you had MERS, you had SARS, and now you have the virus here. But I think the moot point is that you need to have insurance cover or health cover, and as long as you have it, you're protected.
So I think the good thing is that because of, at least if nothing else, a group Mediclaim policy that most people have thanks to their employers, there's some kind of a cover that hopefully everybody watching the show would already have.
Yes.
Sanjeev, let me bring you in as well. Anup just mentioned that as long as you have Mediclaim, at least it's a good starting point. Your opening thoughts?
Yeah, see, Mediclaim is definitely a fantastic starting point. But what we have seen in the last 3 weeks, the queries that we are getting on health insurance has gone up dramatically. So people are now re-evaluating their covers, they are looking at top-up options, they are evaluating is it enough. So my thought here is that, look guys, this is very, very important. Don't wait for a pandemic to break out to do this. This is something that you must do anyway, ensure that you have adequate covers. So point is that yes, people may have corporate covers or others, but people are very, very concerned, and there are a lot of people who are not working for corporates, who are not covered, and they are not bought. So when you buy a policy, first 30 days are always very, very tricky. So a lot of people are looking to buy. At least for us, the number of queries have gone up by at least 5 times.
Wow.
And what has happened in the last 2-3 days, we are seeing basically a flood of inquiries coming in. So that point is that the first 30 days in any health insurance policy is very tricky because it's whether it was pre-existing or not.
Sure.
So I think there is a lot of concern. And it is important also that people should reevaluate, look at their covers. It's very important to keep those things in mind.
Okay, wow, an increase of 5 times in the number of inquiries coming in for health insurance. That just tells us that this fear is for real. Anup, let's just go back and look at the Mediclaim. Now, God forbid if someone is tested positive, what should be the first port of call? I mean, and I don't even know what the costs of this sort of a treatment would be like, but if you have a basic, let's say 5 lakh Mediclaim, then how do you even begin, and what's the process?
I think the most important thing is to first make sure that you are quarantined, the people you have in touch with are quarantined, then your treatment starts. And I think most of us are well equipped to take care of the claims process. So once if somebody checks into the designated hospital, which can actually treat the condition and more importantly put sufficient number of people into an isolation ward, the insurance company will take it from there. So the process is pretty standard. I have complete faith and confidence in our overall health infrastructure that we'll be able to accommodate cases such as these. So it's a regular process, in my opinion.
So as long as you have a current Mediclaim, you're sorted. But as Sanjeev is saying, that a lot of people are now looking to buy, or they might have only corporate insurance, and they're like, oh, I don't have my own cover, let me go and get that. So Sanjeev, on to the point of the waiting periods, I mean, that means that you have a bit of a black window, 30-day black window. If I were to buy a policy today, I can only start claiming that benefit after a month, right? And that's across policies, across companies?
Yeah, across companies, first 30 days is always, see, because you can't insurance surety. See, point is somebody has caught something, he's not feeling well, he says I go and buy an insurance and my future expenses is going to be covered. Is not the way an insurance works. Insurance covers uncertainty, something that you may contact after you have bought the policy. And first 30 days is very, very tricky in any insurance claim. So I'm sure Anup will agree to that. So my point is don't wait for events like this to think about it. It's, health is the most important thing that all of us have. And that is something that we can't play around with, and we have to have adequate covers. Today we are looking to buy top-ups. I'm getting calls from, even good companies. What they do is that they have been systematically reducing the group Mediclaim covers that they were providing to people. So now a lot of people are actually at quite a senior level and they are shocked that their cover is only 5 to 10 lakhs because due to the various cost cuttings that have happened over the years, the covers have gone down. So please be very careful about these amounts.
No, absolutely, absolutely, Sanjeev. In fact, on the point of a top-up, let me get in Anup as well. And I think a lot of people will do that. They might already have a policy, but they'll feel it's perhaps not adequate for the entire family. So now, is it advisable for someone to look at a top-up today? What are the conditions in the fine print that will come with the super top-up policy if I feel like I want to enhance my cover?
So I think the advantage of a top-up is that most people don't exceed a certain level of sum insured, they don't utilize all of it. So top-up ends up being very cheap because of that reason, because we usually believe if a person has say 20 lakhs of cover, the person is more or less taken care of. Obviously in case of a catastrophic event in your life, it could be much higher, but having said that, that is adequate. So the top-up of an additional say 80 lakhs in case somebody goes for 1 crore car is far cheaper and makes a lot more sense to do that, right? I think Sanjeev made the right point. The fact is that don't wait for something like this. Don't wait for the media to cover something of this kind. Don't wait for 3,000 deaths globally to buy health insurance. Sure. The fact is, in case you're adequately covered before this event, you had a top-up policy, you had sufficient insurance, you didn't just count on your employer to provide you insurance. Because it's not just about inadequate and inadequate cover. You could be between jobs, there could be certain exclusions on the group plan.
Absolutely.
Most of us don't even read the policy we have, right?
That's true. Sanjeev, on that point, very quickly, if someone wants to get a top-up and wants to enhance, let's say, just a mere 5 lakh cover to at least 20 to 25 lakhs, what kind of top-up policies would you recommend? And do they also come with a waiting period? I mean, how do the top-ups work? And what will be the average cost, the premium?
The premium cost is very minimal. A typical top-up will cost anything between maybe 2,000 rupees to 5,000-6,000 rupees depending on the coverage. So these are very minimal. So if you were to buy a 25 lakh cover plain, you will pay much more. But if you buy a 5-10 lakh policy and then you buy a top-up on that, you'll get a much better coverage. So premium is very minimal, maybe 2,000 rupees a year to 5,000 depending on the features. And the 30-day waiting period is on everything. But please understand, see, this whole whatever is happening, nobody knows how it is going to turn around. And it's definitely going to be on for more than 30 days. So point is that, so if you want to buy, please buy today. Yes, first 30 days may be a bit of risk, but at least it's better not to have it, better to have it than not to have it. So I think this is going to be the way it's going. It's going to last a couple of months, 3-4 months. If you're lucky, summer it may get over.
Sure.
But it's a black swan. Even nobody can predict.
No, I take your point. Even if there is a 30-day waiting period, it's all right. At least make sure your cover is adequate, and 5 lakhs is not going to do. So you will have to top it up. Let's take a break, gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. It's not just your medical insurance. Travel plans are getting disrupted left, right and center. So what options does a travel insurance policy offer us today? We'll find out after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the special edition of Money, 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 where we're talking about insurance and the needs, whether it's health or travel, given the situation surrounding the coronavirus outbreak. Well, Anup, now I just want to sort of clarify one last point. A lot of people will get confused right now and think of all kinds of things, including, let's say, critical illness policies. Is there a reason to go that far at all, or should we just restrict, the coverage to a Mediclaim and a top-up, which we've already discussed?
So this is not a critical illness. Critical illness normally covers major organs like lungs, heart, so on and so forth. But having said that, critical illness has its own utility. And let's not walk away from that, because critical illness helps you replace your loss of income. Whereas your regular Mediclaim policies actually help you cover the cost of your treatment. And let's understand this fundamentally. We spend a lot of time building assets, making money, so on and so forth, but the machinery to do that is you and your body, and if you don't take care of it, you're not going to go very far. There's just one last point, Surabhi, I want to make, is that the worst thing that could happen today is that people buy a policy because of the coronavirus scare, and later on they just wean off it. That is not the idea of insurance. You take it because you don't know what's going to hit you at any point in time, and it's not contingent on the virus affecting you, only this virus affecting you. Could be anything, could be an accident, could be another unforeseen circumstance seen. So my request to everyone watching the show is to please get yourself covered.
No, absolutely not. Wait till the last moment. Completely take that point. Sanjeev, anything additional that you'd like to say with respect to health insurance, apart from a good Mediclaim and a top-up that we've discussed? Is there any other type of health insurance that one needs to keep in mind as well? Any thoughts on maybe enhancing critical illness, specifically for people, let's say, who already have some sort of lung ailments, whether they should look at that?
Yeah, see, point is, as a look at cover, critical illness will not cover coronavirus, but point is that, critical illness is a very, very important policies to have. And nowadays we have some excellent critical illness plans, like, some of the companies have come up with very good plans which even cover stage 1 cancer onwards. So it is very, very important. They say that, statistics are very scary about cancer, and that a lot of people are going to get it. So it's very important to have a critical illness plans. The cost has come down. It is very important, like, since Bajaj Capital operates across companies, we are getting a lot of people to come and reevaluate their health coverages. They have bought products from various companies, but they are not sure. So please do get that, the analysis done, that what is your health cover, understand what you have, what you don't have, if you need a critical illness. So I think critical illness is important, but it is not for coronavirus, as it's been said. But it is a very, very important, protection to have as a part of your portfolio, and especially if you have a family history. This is something that you must definitely look at and must have it as a part of your portfolio. Another thing I like to say, we are getting a lot of queries for business interruption insurance. Now point is, like, now people are, because businesses are running, they are very scared that how things are going to pan out. So again, if you're going to think of a business interruption, don't wait for a event like this. Have it as a part of your protection plan for the year, and and have that policy. Like, things can happen which can cause disruption to your business, and you need to be planned.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, now gentlemen, we've discussed health in a lot of detail. It's time to move to travel, because that's the other thing that's been hit so hard. Now, Anup, here's the thing. Quite a few people take travel insurance only because it's a procedural requirement. I've been guilty of that myself. You just take whatever the visa really requires you to take, and you think the rest you'll deal with it later. Perhaps it's a huge mistake to make. But tell us, what does a typical simple travel plan cover? Will it cover me in case there's something happening like this while I'm out of India?
Of course it will. I mean, it will cover loss of baggage. It will cover any other, you could lose your passport, you could lose your foreign currency. It could cover ticket cancellation and flight cancellations. And obviously in case you fall ill. And mind you, I think in some sense we are spoiled, because this country does offer world-class medical care at very affordable rates. And it's a harsh reality check when you go abroad. So, a dental procedure will cost you as much as an open heart surgery in a government hospital here would.
Yeah, so I think the ticket sizes are going to be extremely important. But Sanjeev, comment on this on travel insurance. I mean, I remember one of the European countries that I was in, the regulatory requirement was nothing more than, I think, 50,000-60,000 Indian rupees. I mean, the value of insurance, or the sum assured. But I'm guessing that will be very inadequate. I mean, at the starting level, what does a basic travel policy cover? To what extent? I mean, if you have a complete flight cancellation, will the entire ticket cost be covered? Let's talk about the cancellations first, baggage and the tickets, and then we'll come to health.
Yeah, let me just clarify on the cancellation. Look, because of this sort of a scare, if you cancel your trip and because of no event, then it is not going to get covered under the travel insurance, because that's a voluntary cancellation that you have done. But suppose you are going for a conference which gets cancelled, so then you can claim it because it was beyond your control, or if there is an event. So that is something that you have to be careful about, and you also have to have a basic mediclaim and a travel insurance, because if a company wants to create some havoc, they can also say that you may have caught the infection in India and then you are looking at coverage abroad and you have gone abroad and you get sick there. So those things have to be taken care of. Most of the times claims should not be questioned, but they can be questioned. And when you are going abroad, see, anything less than $250,000 is not enough. Maybe if you are going to Southeast Asia, you can do with $50,000 to $100,000. But if you are going to Europe, it's $250,000. US, it has to be minimum $500,000, because the healthcare is nothing compared to what India is. And what I'll say to everyone again, don't let travel insurance not be a coincidence that you get it along with your visa. If you're traveling more than 2-3 times outside this country, it just costs 4,000 to 5,000 rupees to buy an annual travel plan. So you can look at the features, you can pick up the best of the plans, and all you have to do is to renew it. So we recommend to all our customers that, look, we'll help you if you're traveling regularly, but we'll help you select the best plan and just make it as a part of your annual package.
Okay, Sanjeev, I want to take,
things like evacuation and other stuff.
Sure, Sanjeev, I want to take both of these things just one by one. Allow me a minute. That first point that you mentioned was very important, that if you're going to cancel your tickets willingly right now because you don't want to take a travel risk, then that might not be covered. Now, this is a fine print that most people don't, read because of, time constraints or whatever. So, Anup, I don't know, are there products in the market that could even cover that kind of cancellation? The conference didn't get cancelled, but I don't want to catch a virus, right? So that's why I'm being forced to alter or cancel my plans, travel plans.
So, no, so it doesn't, so insurance is to cover unforeseen circumstances which are out of your control. Now, in case you take a conscious decision for personal reasons, to cancel your trip, then fine, you have to pay for it. Yes, you do have cruises, for example, wherein for any reason you cancel it. You get a certain percentage of the ticketing costs back. But insurance is for unforeseen circumstances out of your control which force you to change your plans.
Okay.
That's what gets covered.
All right, so just make sure that if you're just out of prudence altering or cancelling your tickets, your insurance company might not cover you. Keep that in mind. We need to take a break. We've got some questions in social media as well on this issue. We'll be back and we'll answer them very, very shortly. Okay, welcome back. We are in a very, very interesting and important conversation. Insurance covers that you really need at all times, and especially now because we do have this global epidemic upon us. I'm in conversation with Sanjeev Bajaj of Bajaj Capital, as well as Mr. Rau of Future Generali. So, gentlemen, I just want to go to that point of what happens if you want to travel, and just in case there is an eventuality while you're traveling overseas. So, Anup, what's going to be the cost? If I want to take a travel insurance that will cover me in case of any medical emergencies, coronavirus or otherwise, Sanjeev also mentioned some numbers. Do you agree? And what are the costs? What will it cost me?
So I think an annual plan will come for as little as 8,000-9,000 rupees, and you can do multiple trips, which includes, so normally you have a couple of plans which include certain countries, some types of countries, including US, excluding US, so on and so forth. So you have a variety of products you can choose from, but generally for 10,000 a year, you should get a very comprehensive plan. So it's nothing compared to the amount you spend on your travel otherwise.
Okay, so you could do the comprehensive plan, but Sanjeev, if you want to do it standalone, as in insure just that one trip, then for the kind of numbers that the sums that you mentioned, $500,000 for the US, 250 million for Europe trips, how much will it cost me?
Yeah, it's about $250,000, and these are the minimum slabs I'm talking about. See, if you want to have a better slab, then that's better to have. But this is the typical rule we follow when we are talking to our clients or when we are giving a recommendation that Southeast Asia have anything between $50,000 to $100,000. Europe minimum $250,000 and US minimum $500,000. These are the minimum type of a coverage, and they're not too expensive. See, the good thing about a travel insurance is that good travel insurance and a bad travel insurance, the cost difference may be a couple of ₹100. So point is just you have to be careful with what you are buying. It is just the margin of the company or the distributor who is selling it. So point is between a good plan and a bad plan, the cost is not too much difference, but the features may be different, hugely different. So you have to be very careful with a travel plan. And so again, point is every trip it becomes very tedious to do it. So it's better either you choose one plan that you like and you buy it for every trip, or the second best option is, or the best option I'll say, is buy an annual plan where you can do a deep dive diligence, understand the type of coverage that you want. But travel insurance is definitely very important. It is very expensive when we look at claims of our clients. Sure. You know, sometimes you can't imagine, these are extraordinary, more than $1 million in US for an accident. You can't imagine the kind of claims you can have.
Sure.
So can I share a personal story? In 2015, I was in Mexico.
Certainly.
So in 2015, I was in Mexico, and then I had what was diagnosed as traveler's diarrhea. But then it was excruciatingly painful, and I was pretty ill. I was in a small village in Mexico, which was about 4 or 5 hours from Mexico City. And I bought a policy. I don't know what it covered. Thankfully, it was a good policy, and they took me in an ambulance to Mexico City. I was at the hospital for about 4 or 5 days. When I was flown into Boston, and I was treated there, and I was back. I didn't have insurance. I would have been out of pocket by at least 50 lakh rupees. It was a minor condition.
Wow. And your policy covered everything?
Everything. I mean, there were some exclusions, but then, and I mean, I had to maybe pay about 2 or 3% of the total cost.
Okay. Well, some of our viewers are tweeting, they're saying interesting conversation. There's Shankar Jayshan is saying, do all policies cover coronavirus, SARS, swine flu, these kind of epidemics? I think we've answered that. Also, some other viewers are seeking some advice and gave names. If you're looking at a comprehensive Mediclaim or a super top-up, certain companies or products that you think can be looked at, and also travel insurance. Please give us your picks.
See, my personal, again, there are a lot of good plans, and it's very, it will be wrong for me to say this plan is good. But I can say what I have picked up for myself, my own personal self. I have a Tata AIA annual travel plan which I buy. I have been buying. I think it gives me a fantastic coverage. It's called Platinum. The premium is about 6,000-7,000 rupees. It gives me adequate coverage, evacuation, everything that I'm looking at. On basically on health insurance, again, Cigna has a beautiful product. Aditya Birla Health. A lot of other companies have. Max has a beautiful product. On top up, I recently picked up a product by Aditya Birla Health, which is covering 16 critical illnesses. I pay about 30,000 rupees, and I get a coverage up to 60 crores, about 10 lakhs. So it's a top up for critical illnesses where I can go anywhere in the world for treatment. So these are the type of plans I have picked up for myself. So that point is that please get a good advisor, get a good broker, work with him. This is very important. Or take and buy a good protection cover for yourself. It is very important to have.
Absolutely. I think goes without saying. I mean, forget investments. You need to first protect yourself, your health, your life, and of course then you can only think of your savings and your wealth creation. Thank you very much, Anup, as well as Sanjeev, for joining in and shedding light on some very important aspects of insurance that we need at all times, especially for times like these. Thanks for tuning in today. We will keep getting you more such interesting conversations in future.